back at the Construction Royalty Podcast. I got my friend Zach here. Zach, how's it going, brother?
It's good. It's real good. Sunday. Uh, nice day out. Ready to go?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So, we're in the studio now. We're shooting some content for this. Brought you in here because I see what you're doing social media wise. We work on a couple projects together, same contractor.
Yeah.
Um, so you're in here. I want you to let the audience know who you are. What do you do?
Yeah. My name is Zach Harris. I own Hart Stone Studio Design. It's a turnkey fabrication studio, design consulting for countertops, stone, anything tile, stone, wall cladding, facades, but mainly countertops. Slab content, slab oriented, marble, granite, porcelain, quartz, everything. If it needs fabricated, then we basically do it. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's 3 years now on my own.
Nice.
2020, January 2020
Oh,
was a
yeah.
good start.
That's
So yeah, we're rolling. Year three and a half at this point now. So we're good.
what were you doing before that?
Uh,
Before
so I
2020.
Yeah, so I've been in the stone industry for 13 years now, 11 in Austin. So 2012 through 19, I worked for two different companies, two well-known companies, high reputation, a lot of great clients, and then it just worked out where here I am. I wanted a little more. I wanted to start my own thing. I felt like I was at the right point to go for it, and and here we are. So learned a lot and still learning.
Yeah. You never stopped learning, huh?
No, not at all.
This-
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's exactly why we're here. Talking to you about your trade, talking to you about my trade. I mean, it's all connected, and learning from people I see on job sites, my own guys, just stuff every day. So
Yeah. That's a cool thing about the trades, man. It's like even if it's even if it's like kitchen remodel after kitchen remodel, it's different.
oh,
So
everything's
like
different.
yeah, even if it's kind of
different.
similar, but still like everything changes.
Yeah, that was big thing when I started this was like, you get a lot of stuff that's like you do over and over and over again or repetitive, but our process and our, I guess, outlook on our projects is like that every single one is different, right? Every
Yeah.
single time, every challenge is different. Every type of material is different. No matter if it's a small project, big project, they all have their consistent things. Obviously, that's how we are, the company we are, but they all come with different challenges every
Yeah,
time. So
for sure. So what got you interested in whatever you're doing right now? Were you like born into it, or did that caught your eye
uh,
later on? Then?
I mean, it's all a little connected as far as to how I got here. My uncle and my dad are both craftsmen, cabinet makers, artists, that kind of thing, hands-on, build everything themselves and stuff, and so I've always been around it. But then I got into art, design, graphics, stuff like that, super young, and that's what I went to school for: graphic design, fine art, sculpture, all that kind of stuff. And it just kind of led way to an opportunity where I was like I learned the stone business, but I've blended it in with now like drafting and illustration and a creative eye for working with interior designers, working with architects, and being able to kind of like see their vision and run with it and use my creativity to work with their creativity, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's a nice blend of, I love hands-on things, I love building things, I love super fine finishes like cabinets and hardware and really detailed oriented like stuff like steel, like CNC steel and things like that, and so I really take pride in like taking something from such a raw material to like a really nice clean picture perfect,
Yeah.
home or business or whatever we're working on. So
Yeah. And I mean I mean especially for the kitchen, right? Kitchen's like you walk into somebody's house, they're
right.
showing off their house, like the kitchen's the first thing you see.
Oh man,
One of the
it's
first things you see.
yeah. I mean,
That's one of the things that they show off the most, right? It's the
yeah.
kitchen, and then the
It's
countertops. You can't miss it.
kitchen countertops, tile, stuff like that. You're like, that's what you're drawn to. That's the pretty stuff, right? Like
Yeah,
that's all the like. Oh wow, look at this, look at that. And so when it's done right, it looks amazing. When it's done crappy, you see it
yeah,
right away, right? And so um, I always joke that like uh, we have to literally cover up like a lot of other mistakes, right? Like we're putting our service on top of
oh
all
yeah,
these things that like came before us, and like if all the other trades do an awesome job and great, then like it makes our job what it's supposed to be, right? Like we get our product in there the way it's supposed to be, the way it's supposed to be set, all that stuff. But if the framers are bad, right, and then
yeah,
if the drywall is bad, and then the millwork comes in and they kind of just put this and that, it's not high quality cabinets or anything. Um, then we come in and I have to tell like the contractor, whoever it might be, like, hey, this is wrong. Hey, this is this isn't going to work for, we have to modify this, we have to change it. And it's so late in the game, we're always behind, right? All the
yeah,
finishes are already behind. So you start to tell them that, and they're just like, oh, put it on top of it, it's fine. It'll fix.
yeah.
Put a shim here, put a shim there, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But
You things like the cherry on top, right? Like
yeah,
you
and then
just drop it on the
so yeah,
top of
when
the pie.
you get these pictures in the end, you're like, wow, look at this island, look at these miters and waterfalls and full height backsplash and all these really awesome features, but it takes a lot to get there
Yeah,
for sure. But I I love working through all that. I love seeing the concept. I love from start to finish. I get to see it on a rendering or a drawing or a paper napkin. I mean that's still a thing, right? Like
yeah,
it's still born from a concept of like, hey, let's sketch this out on a piece of paper and hang it on the wall and see if we like it tomorrow, right? And then bringing that to the material stage, to the selection stage, and then obviously seeing what my guys can do with it and what I can do with it, and putting it in. So
yeah. And as far as like, I know you mentioned a little while ago that you went to school for graphic design.
graphic design, yeah.
So I mean, do you use that in what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So I mean, I pretty much use kind of all the facets or arms of things like I've learned, like drafting, like AutoCAD, Illustrator, all kind of like things that programs that people take for granted now, right? Like they're super easy
Yeah,
to get a hold of or use or things like that, and you can learn them super fast. But so all that stuff that I've learned, I can kind of combine into like if somebody wants to see their slab on the countertop, what it would look like in their house, right? Or what the layout would look like before that. I can use all that to create kind of what they want and what they want to see. Um, yeah, so I started there. Long story short, the recession happened in 2008, whatever it was. So I got laid off. It was like one of those things where you think you're immune to something because you like lasted so long in it, and then all of a sudden, bang, it was like over, and I was like, what the heck? And then so that's how I got into just like construction and figuring stuff out on the fly, figuring it out as I went, learning a lot, like learning from friends that I haven't talked to in a while. I was bouncing around for a minute and landed, in construction and ran with it. So
yeah. And I know we saw a little bit of that shift too in 2020, right? Where
yeah,
people were getting
yeah,
laid off, or
yeah,
now you can work from home, and
right,
people don't want to go out to
yeah.
the
That was a weird
sites and stuff.
that was a weird time for me because I mean, not only did I start my own business, it's the first
Yeah,
business I've started learning as I go, right? Like, not really knowing what quite to do, but I had built such a good client base and such a repeat kind of like process and clients that did the same work over and over, right? Like they needed countertops for tenant improvements, finish outs, businesses, stuff like that. So it wasn't like I was getting one house and then being like, oh, who's the next one that needs countertops, right? So it started out as like 2020 was like going, and then it was like, ooh, this is going to be a thing, right? Like this pandemic is going to be a real thing, but at the same time, like I can't put countertops in from my house, right? I can't fabricate things from like home office or whatever. I mean, could I consult and obviously bid and draw projects? Yeah, but actually getting the work done and doing things was like nothing really changed for us. So we just kind of went about our day and the best we could. I had a couple projects, stall or back out or whatever, but a lot of those commercial projects that we do and we're doing, like those contracts are in motion for 3 or 4 years, right? Yeah. You can't just back out of a 20-story building, right? That's being built. So a lot of that stuff still went through and we made it and so yeah, it was a little different scenario, but it was still.
Yeah, it was definitely a different time than if you would have started the business now. This year, like it's definitely, and you think that helped you, just the fact that, like you're saying, you build a relationship with those clients that, they're not one-time projects, but they just need countertop after countertop for different projects.
Yeah. So.
You think that was like like your advantage?
Yeah,
it's
been a really good thing, and I learned that a couple of different ways of like how to, and I'm realizing that now, like I maybe learning it and doing it all the time was just like second nature at the time, but now I look and I see like, oh, this is how our business is built to maintain longevity and not just be this or that. It was like just looking for the right clients, keeping them the right clients, and working towards like how do you want your business to look on the outside to other people, right? Like how do you want to be perceived when somebody says your name or says your company or says like this person would be great for this, like they're gonna know you're good for this type of work, right, or this type of thing. And
what's your goal towards that? Like when people think of Hart Stone, like what do you want them to think?
Yeah, just super detail oriented, super quality. Just a solid. When you call us, you're gonna get exactly what you wanted. You're gonna get a really good experience, a lot of knowledge, and just like guidance through the whole process. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to know that they're in good hands, and that part of the project they don't have to worry about anymore. And that's huge for commercial work, which is like one of our main focuses. I'd say we're like 70% commercial, maybe more, but in doing that, we have a relationship with GCs where like when they see us on a job or they see us on a spec or on a contract, like they're like, wow, I don't have to worry about that part of the job, right? Like I know that they're going to do a good job. It's kind of going to be that, like maybe they can put their trades in like boxes, like this is going to be a problem, this is going to be fine. No, Hart Stone Studio is going to go over in the great pile. Like I don't have to worry about them, right? Like, so I want them to already feel comfortable in that way and that stuff. And I think one of the biggest goals in having this business in the construction world or ecosystem, whatever, is that I wanted to set us apart as a company and a trade that like was not just like a subcontractor, not just somebody like doing the work, right? I want people to know us as like a formidable like asset to the build, to the company, to all this stuff, and I want them to think of us like as an ally, as like a person they can trust or bring in at any stage of the project, and not just be like, oh, that's subcontractor, here it comes, done and out, right? Like I want them to have like a good experience. I want them to recognize the brand on the job. I want us like our trucks out front. I want our, you know, guys in shirts. I want like the whole brand identity to be noticeable and it to be like a
Like an iconic
yeah like
brand.
a something that I don't know is featured, right? Like in something that's like they want it to be a part of the build, I guess.
Yeah.
And I want like a designer or architect to think of us way early on in the stages of like construction and design and what they want out of the project, and be like, I know this person can help me get there, right? I know they can help me like facilitate something or brainstorm something, not just put it on a contractor. Oh, find me a sub that can put these countertops in, right? And so I want them to be like, I want Hart Stone Studio on there. They have done this, they've done that. They know what they're doing,
Yeah.
basically, right?
Yeah, you brought up a good point with like you don't just want your company to be a subcontracting company, right? Because people think of subcontractors for general contractors, and they just think like small company, right? Cool, because like all
Yeah, small company.
the majority of subcontracting companies are just small, and they stay small.
Yeah, and that's like okay, I guess, but like it's almost like a. I don't want us to be seen as like an in like a not a valuable asset to the
Yeah,
part of the
I get
job,
you.
right? And like sometimes you can be like, oh well, yeah, the electrician's there, or oh, the plumber's coming in there, and like not that we don't get credit, but we don't get credit for like being a huge role in the project, right?
Yeah,
Like at the end of the at the end of the whole thing, you see these pictures of architects or
yeah, architecture or the
whoever
builder.
get all the the praise and the I don't know recognition, but
Yeah,
like I want I want your company to be recognized. I want my company to be recognized, and that just kind of grows into other opportunities,
yeah.
basically, right? So
So you want it to be like a standalone dominant brand
yeah,
versus
I just
like,
want
oh, these guys depend on the big guys, which
right,
is the
yeah,
builders.
like I don't want sometimes like if it's a huge general contractor, right? Like all the other people get lost
Yeah,
under that umbrella, right? And you're like, oh wow, construction company A did this beautiful. Look at this reception area. Oh my God, it's beautiful. How did they do it? Blah blah blah. When like there's 40 trades that
that did
actually
that.
put that
Yeah,
together, right? And like sure, should they get recognition? Yes, of course. But like, let's all have a part of it. Let's all
yeah, for
be
sure.
thankful for what we have, or like thankful to your countertop guys and your mill workers and everything else, so
Yeah,
and I think that does happen when you do a really good job and you are active in the job site. You're active with questions and responses and show up on time, show up to meetings, show up in a way where you don't look like a slob or you don't look like anything else, right? You show up and you're ready to go.
you look like you walk in and you look like you own the place.
Yeah, I mean you gotta have with a lot of these like
That confidence walking in, like, hey, I'm
yeah, you
here.
gotta be like, hey, I'm here like to put the countertops in. I told you we were coming this day last week, like, and you have I don't know painters all over the place,
Yeah,
right? And why didn't you call me and tell me that you had painters in here right now, or I could have sent my guys somewhere else. I could anything else, and if you go in and you have that mentality of like saying this was my day, this was my time, uh, they'll they'll figure it out for you. They'll be like, oh yeah, shit, I messed up.
Yeah.
Like this is something on me. But if you go in there and you are like, oh man, the painters are here. Well, I guess like we'll just wait, or we'll just not say anything and then go back and not have a confidence to be like, hey, this is wrong. I'm supposed to be here. Uh, it just then it puts it back on you, and now they're attacking you instead of you attacking them.
Yeah.
Not attacking, but driving the show basically,
Yeah.
driving like what needs to happen. And
I think that's where a lot of people mess up is that it's just like you let them, like you're saying, even take control of what you're there
yeah,
to do.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, if
You're there to install the countertops, but you still let them run the
you
show
run the
for the
show right, and
countertops when that's supposed to be you.
yeah, and a contractor, a supervisor, GC. I mean, they're there to facilitate things and be kind of obviously the liaison or the connection to the architect and owner and everything else. But um, half the time they're super green. They're on 6 projects. They don't like want to be bothered, with trades and stuff, and like even though that's their job. But so if you I learned a long time ago, if like you take advantage, or if you take control and you tell them what's going on and what you're doing, and document job site stuff, and just be in their face, like they'll respect you way more than you being like a yes man to them, or being like yes sir, yes ma'am, uh, sorry I'm 2 minutes late, sorry I'm 10 minutes early, whatever it might be. Like if you just control the narrative and push your team and your trade on them, they respond way better to that than kind of being like sheepish or shy about like
Yeah.
controlling the what's going on. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Yeah.
Always, no matter if it's really squeaky or a little squeaky.
So 3 years running, man. I've been in your shop. It's a big shop. You got a lot going on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
What what's one of your goals? What's one of your long term goals? So I know, like at least for me, they've changed over time.
Yeah, they're moving here and there. There's kind of a main focus, of course, and then there's always little things that I think of along the way, right? Like 6 months ago, I was thinking about this. Now I'm thinking about this. Um,
But like say like a 10-year goal. Like 10 years from now, what do you see Hearthstone at?
yeah, it's probably a new building, a standalone building that we basically control and can rent out and own, and if other things need to be a part of it, and then probably just a more streamlined auto process a little bit. Right now, I'm always hesitant to try new software, new things, or I always want it to be perfect, right? I don't want to start something and be like 6 months later, be like, oh, this isn't really working. So I kind of like hold myself hostage for a little bit at the beginning of like ideas and stuff, but for one of the goals would be just a more uh, auto driven like system and ability to just streamline the whole process, I guess. That would be one of those, and then I guess main goal would just be just a super recognized company that is a part of the Austin community that everyone knows, trusts. It's been eye opening, and like the 3 years of the clients I do have and the people that trust me to do the work. Sometimes I don't realize how valued we are, I guess, and like how much people do appreciate what we do and like and constantly come back to us and want our service. And that's like, I'm a very low key person in general. Like I don't get too pie. I don't get I guess too built up myself or whatever, or like cocky or anything. So I like try to stay very humble and like just go along, go along about things. And so I have to every once in a while to recognize that like, oh, this is this is a pretty good thing, and like a really nice like feeling that like we're doing really good work and a part of these awesome projects and all that stuff. So yeah, just recognizing that I want to grow size wise for sure would be one of the biggest things, and have a couple more machines. We just got a new machine a couple months ago, and that has been one of my goals since basically I saw this brand 10 years ago. I was like, wow, that looks like I want to own that. Like I want if
cool.
if I were to ever own a company, like those are the machines that I want, right? And so
it's like top of the line stuff.
Yeah, it's
like
American made,
stuff. Yeah,
all that stuff. Training is crazy good and
makes countertops while you're sleeping.
Yeah, it can. If you trusted it to do that, it could definitely do it. But it that was a big goal that we just hit this year. So
nice.
So now we're just trying to work around that, of like build off of that, right, and see what the next part could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was I started that shop with one side of the building. 3,000, 4,000 square feet or something. Got an opportunity to take over the other side of it, so that was a huge step, a huge like risk too. I mean, you're taking on twice the size basically.
Yeah. It's not a small shop.
No. Now
it's big.
Yeah, now we're up around 7,000 square feet, but it allowed us to create a space for fabrication, for the machines to really put out an amazing product, and like dedicated workstations and places, and bring all the materials and staging areas, trucks, into this like clean environment where it's can be staged and ready to go. Stuff can be prepped, an office side now and everything. So it created a separation between like walking into a shop, like walking into an actual like straight up grinding, cutting, all that stuff, and allowing finished products and things like that to be moved to a different area. So that was huge, and in turn allowing us to purchase this machine to even do better stuff, because now we can make any shape, any piece, any style, super fast, super clean and accurate now. So that was a huge deal. And when I started, I obviously have to have guys working for me. I can't do it by myself, right? So I brought a couple guys in that I worked with in the past and trusted, and I was like, guys, look, if this is gonna be a road, like this is gonna be a process, but like, here are my goals, here's what I want to do, and if you stay with me, not stay with me, but like if you stick with it and we work together, like we are going to hit these things, and then when I showed up with that machine, they were like, oh wow, you weren't kidding. It was like when we started, because I wasn't like I signed the contract and was like, guys, look what I did, right? Because like you don't know, anything could happen in the next 6 months, 8 months, whatever it took. And so when I finally had him around, and I was like, guys, I need like this thing's like 17 feet by like 12 feet. It's not small, right? So like I was like, I need this space cleared, I need these things moved, we're going to change this to this. And they're like, why? And I'm like, well, we're getting a new machine. And they're like, oh dang, that's crazy. So
How many guys do you have right now?
I have 9 right now. Yeah. So it's scaled from probably like three, 3 to 9 now. 3, 4 guys to 9.
It's 3 when you started,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
9 right now.
yeah,
3 years
yeah.
later, yeah.
So
What kind of opportunities do you plan on providing for your team as you guys grow?
yeah, there's all kinds of roles that some of the guys can go into or change into. There's lead installers. There's programmers, project managers that um, you know some of these guys started out as just polishers, or there's kind of like a couple levels in the stone, steel, wood fabrication world where like you start out with kind of basic, cut, polish, make sure tape, check your tape measure, make sure pieces are right, like super basic stuff that you can't take for granted, right?
Yeah.
And so you kind of learn in that role, and that's the way I started too, and then you move into more like using specific tools like seam setters and leveling blocks and installing and learning how pieces fit into spaces and what you can do with them and what you can't do with them, you know, and really just like repetitive experiences to get your details super clean and know what I expect out of a job. Like, so that role is kind of like more supervision manager, I guess. You're in charge of other people at that point, right? So, and then the other opportunities would be sales, programming, um, like I said, project managing, and just communicating with clients at that point. That's a huge step because the way I talk to clients and the way I give information and expect people that are working for me to give the same information and things like that is it's a little bit of learning and a little bit of trust on my end because like I have to now know that I can't do everything myself and
Yeah.
I have to give reins to people and let them trust them that they're gonna keep my vision on track and keep things that I want out there to
It's kind of like keep
the
that
same
standard
level, I
going, you know.
guess.
Yeah, keep that standard going.
Yeah, and I hope obviously by working every day with them and showing them things, training them things, they get what I want out of them in the same job. So um, yeah, there's as far as like growth and goals, like it's there's that whole arm of like what do I want to create outside like what I can give a client, right? Like I could like right now I sell it, I promote it, I do it, but for me to hire, I could hire a salesperson, I could hire a couple project managers, and there would be work. Like there would be, I give them things to do. So it just the scale has to match up and go. So yeah, there's plenty of things to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. As far as like other things in say their personal life, like how does what kind of opportunities do you have for that? You know, for them to improve anything outside of just what work is.
Oh, what do you mean like offering them? What do you mean like things to do and things to
No, just like
learn?
in life in general, like anything that's not work related. You know, like their families, their
Oh,
time
yeah,
with their families. You know, their health, their stuff
yeah,
like that.
yeah. I mean,
Just to
good.
live a better life outside of work. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
because I mean,
We
you know,
create.
the blue collar workers just like kill themselves
Oh, sure,
all the
yeah. I
time.
mean, I tell these guys like, they can work as much as they want, but you have to be realistic and you have to know that just working all day isn't the right balance of things and stuff. So I mean, I push them hard. We go 40, 45 hours, and then I'm like,
Yeah,
get out of here, right?
yeah.
Like, yeah, like, could we keep working 60 and
Yeah.
whatever? Like, sure, but
Yeah,
like,
when you show up, you gotta grind, you know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
there's time for
It's
everything
not
else
gonna,
too.
it's not gonna benefit you to be here all night or all morning and not want to go because they get burned. You get burnt out. I mean, in
Yeah,
this like world, you
yeah,
get
it's a tough job.
you'll get burnt out real fast. You might not realize it at the beginning, but like, you know, if you come in and you say you don't want to work 20 hours a week of overtime, like, man, that's not gonna last very long. Like, I'm smart enough to know that you're not gonna want to do that in 3 weeks, in
Yeah,
4 weeks, right? So I need you to understand the arc and everything involved, and and when you're happy outside of work, you usually come to work happy, right?
yeah,
So I want to make sure they get their
They
time
look-
away, and like I try to give them space when they want it, space when they need it. Like a lot of times they don't care about I don't know the like the Super Bowl or something. It means nothing to like a lot of my guys, but like if Argentina's playing or something, like I might as well give them the day off because
Yeah.
like they're not going to be focused on anything but that, right? They're
I
going to
get
have
that.
the broadcast blasting in the background. I'm like, you know, this is your guys' stuff. You know, I recognize that they have things that they love, and I have things that I love, and there's give and take there. So,
Yeah,
like if Mexico's playing friendly or something over at Austin FC, like guess what? They're all gonna want to go to that. So
for sure.
so um,
Yeah, I feel
it
that.
just
I mean,
depends.
we all get caught up in that work stuff,
Yeah,
especially.
yeah,
I mean, like I growing up for me in South Texas, it's I don't know, at least 95% Hispanic. So it's
right.
like everybody
Yeah,
comes from Mexico and any other southern country,
yeah,
and they're like the main reason is like they come for the money.
yeah, yeah,
So
for sure.
I've
They have
watched them.
one
I've
goal
watched
is to
them.
get money
Yeah,
and
I've
distribute it the way they want to.
yeah, but they just like for me, I've watched them kill themselves, over money,
Yeah,
and it's just crazy to me that they do that because like I wouldn't do that.
no, yeah, and
There's just more to life.
it's a you might kill yourself to work, and you don't even realize that you're just working and working, but you're not learning anything else,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Like you're not
So
growing.
you stay at the lowest level.
Yeah, you're not growing into what you should be, or a progression of
Yeah,
what needs to happen. And I try to like steer them a little bit. I'm like, hey, you've been polishing for this long. Like, not only do I want you to do it, but you should want to see that there's an opportunity there to
yeah,
learn other things. And one of the biggest, I guess, now that I look at it, like career moves or whatever, was I was working for a stone company here, and they're just a stone company. I mean, that's what they did countertops, super high end. I mean, like we're one of the most recognized places in Austin and around, but they do countertops and one type of material, one deal, and I got I got tracked down by some people, some whatever, and headhunter or whatever, and I dodged this guy for about 6 months because he was just like, come work for us, and I was like, no, no, no. And I had other countertop opportunities too, but I was like, the grass is always greener on the other side,
yeah,
right? Like, no way. Like, so I finally like gave in to this guy, and I was like, all right, I'll come work for me. And it was the shop I own now. It was just an arm of it, but he was like, I want you to come run run this division or run this arm of the company, right? It was a flooring company, and the stone was just kind of like a little arm of it that they had because it was just catching all these other opportunities, right? Like it was there to cut their bigger tiles down if they had to. It was there when they picked up a huge like school job or something, and maybe the GC was like, "Hey, can you take these counters too? Right? Can you take this stone scope?" Um, but what I looked at the opportunity was, this is a flooring company in a huge commercial space, and I was only doing high-end residential. That's like their only client, and I was like, if I go over here, not only can I learn like flooring, wood, trades, other materials, but I'm also now learning like uh, different spaces, like commercial spaces and other schools and government buildings and everything else, all the ins and outs of project managing and all that stuff. So, but if I didn't take that, I would kind of like pigeonhole myself into, now I can only do countertops, right? I've been doing countertops for 8 years, and like, oh shoot, I only know how to do it one way. But now that I took that opportunity to do a lot of other stuff, I met a crap ton of clients. I know my network went from 5 or 6 builders to 200 builders.
Yeah.
And
It's a big jump.
yeah, I mean, over time, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, in the past 8 years, but like, if I was still over there, or I still looked to that only kind of one corner of the market,
Yeah.
like, my network might be 20 builders by now, right?
Yeah.
30 builders instead of instead of this vast array of like of projects and ways people work and communicate and other trades and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, on some of those huge jobs that I was on, you know, I met drywall guys, I met electricians, I met plumbers, I met architects and drafters and everything else, and I wouldn't have I wouldn't have met those people, or I wouldn't have had the opportunity if I didn't like realize like, hey, maybe I should look for something. Maybe I should make sure I'm not just doing this one thing
Yeah.
for a really long time, right? And so
Yeah, I was thinking of the exact same thing last night.
yeah,
You know, people just like they work all the time, but it's not they're not progressing. You know,
right,
they stay where they started. 20, 30 years ago, at the
yeah,
lowest level. It's like you're making I don't know, whatever, 3 grand a week or whatever.
right.
Maybe, but you think that's, I mean, you come from where they don't get paid enough.
Yeah, I mean, three
So
grand is 3 grand,
Yeah,
but
so
like,
you think it's a lot,
yeah,
but in reality, it's not, and you're still at the lowest level
yeah,
when
and
you
then if you
should be
work
up here
overtime,
already.
you get whatever 3,800 that week, and you're like, oh man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, but over time, your 3,000 to 4,000 is never gonna change, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's what it's gonna be, what it is, and so yeah, but it's not so much even the money. It's just the value of what you get of looking outside of
Yeah.
one box, one thing. Like, if I didn't recognize the value of like talking to other trades on a job site, or learning from other people, like, we wouldn't be sitting right here, right? Like,
Yeah,
I don't
for
even
sure.
remember how we started talking, but it was just like probably on a job where it was like, hey man, boy, I like your shirt, I like your van, I like
Yeah.
whatever, and like recognize that, like, well, that's a person that might be able to help me, I might be able to help them, you know, and learn from, I can learn from clients you've had, you can learn from clients I've had, and process and everything else.
Yeah.
And like, sure, we're different, we do different things, but like, there's a lot of similarities to what is going on,
For sure.
and then that leads into something else, right? And so on, so on. So
Yeah. I heard this thing from one person, was like, it's like you can learn something from everybody, even if it's what not to do.
right, yeah,
And like like that binder that you see right there on the table.
yeah,
Like, we're actually starting an in-house school
nice,
for
yeah.
like to work my guys to get their license.
Oh,
Because,
that's
like,
amazing.
I don't want them to just like stay at the lowest level.
Right, yeah, for sure.
So I'm always trying to find ways to give them that opportunity to grow,
Yeah,
to make more money. Because eventually, if I if I pay them, if they can make $1 million here a year working with me, then that means that the company's worth.
I would love to do
You know
that.
what I mean?
Yeah, like that would I would
Like, you figure out
I
a
would
way.
welcome that with open arms. If I could pay
Yeah.
my guys what I can and what they're worth and what moving forward, like if we're all going up, like hell yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like for sure. And like
Yeah, we'd love to pay them $1 million a year because that means the company's worth, you know,
way more than
100x.
that.
Yeah,
Way more than that, right?
it's
If you're
worth a
paying
billion or
you're
whatever.
paying a
Yeah,
employee that, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
for sure.
One
And you're
reason.
just creating this like value in this brand that's like
Yeah,
you can't put a price on like something like that. Like that'll go forever. If I didn't learn from my uncle and my dad all this stuff and everyone else I've learned from, if I didn't have a couple of the owners that I had, good and bad, I had a suspect bad-ish one for a couple years, and then I had one of the best ones, and I still model even my own business off of stuff he taught me and he did. Like that goes so far for everyone,
yeah.
because now I'm taking what he taught me into this practice and hopefully sharing with my guys and my employees.
And even like people listening to this
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
might not even get into the stone
Oh,
part,
man,
but
if-
they might be doing something else. That
It's crazy now, and part of it's like I'm older, you're older. Like part of it now is just like experience too. But like, man, if I was 17 or 16 or whatever, and I had access to like this type of information, like
Yeah.
learning like on podcasts or whatever, and just hearing people's mentality of like where they're going and how they're getting there and how they got there, it's like mind blowing. Like I get it. I think about it sometimes. Like, man, what? Like,
it's crazy.
what? Like I was working at all kinds of places, right? I was doing design. I was working in restaurants, like all these little things here and there. And I was mowing grass and whatever else, right? And like, if you teach somebody back when I was mowing grass, like, hey, you've got two clients, right? But what if you had 4? What if you had 6? What if you had another guy that was cutting the grass for you and you were going around collecting the checks, right? Like, it would be like, but that mindset or that thing never even like was brought to me or crossed my mind. Obviously, like I was mowing 2 grasses a week, and I was like, sweet, here's $60 or whatever, I was like, this is awesome. And I would take that $60 and go do something stupid with it,
Yeah,
right?
and there it goes.
And like, all right, cool. Next week I get, whatever, and it's just like, dude, if you had the ability to like listen to something like this and realize like, hey, you have a good thing, like, oh, I'm pretty good at this grass moving thing. I'm pretty good at this, whatever, making coffee table thing, right? And like, what if I had a way to just explode the value of it and like grow it exponentially by listening to like one thing or seeing one thing on the internet or something? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, not that it would just be a wild change for sure.
Yeah.
Like if I could tell anybody like younger that right now, just like learn from whatever and
From
anything.
this,
Like
yeah.
it doesn't even have to be something like you think you want to do forever, but like learning like, I don't, any trade of any kind, like just seeing how they develop a business, right? And
Yeah.
like if that's something you want to do, if something you want to start like as an entrepreneur or intrapreneur, like growing things, but basically you're trying to better yourself, you're trying to better what you're bringing to the table as an asset to whoever you're talking to, right?
For
Like, sure, I own Hart Stone Studio Design, but like I'm always working for all the clients that we have, right? Like I'm always trying to better myself so we can bring all of that to them.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, just being able to like learn always from other trades, other podcasts, any information you can get is the best one, right?
Yeah.
Is the best way.
I mean, that's why I started the podcast.
Yeah.
Because, like, whenever I had that shift of mindset, whenever I started the business,
Yeah.
back in, like, 7, 8 months in, was because of a podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, man, if I start a podcast, to help other people, because I know, like, the podcast was, like, that's what shifted my mindset into more business, growth and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, how can I give back to, especially the blue collar workers, because I know they have like very low opportunity. So like that's one of my things. That's one of my missions, is to like give them an opportunity to not just like level up in their career, but level up in their health, their relationships with other people,
Yeah.
and like their purpose, because most of them don't even have a purpose.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I had a mindset for a while with like podcasts and just like people pushing like fake like abilities and like I don't just like saying all this stuff. I was like, yeah, this is how you do it. This blah blah. But never like if you really listen to it, like they weren't saying anything,
Yeah.
like absolutely nothing, or they don't know anything about what they were actually talking about. So like, I like stopped listening to podcasts and like listening to like brand building people and stuff for a long time. I was like, this is like just go to work, like go work, like go do what you're supposed to be doing. Like you're over here pushing those dumb stuff and like,
It's like
how do I know you're even like real?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do I know you've even done anything? You're like, you're pushing, like, you're telling people how to do things, but like, have you done anything? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what have you actually done? So I just kind of like chalked it up to hocus pocus for a while, and like it's like whatever. I don't need this, but I've like you just have to cultivate and curate like what you want out of it, right? What you think is good.
Yeah.
People that you think know what they're doing, people that you want to listen to, stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I totally get where you're coming from. So real quick, man. Before we wrap this up,
Yeah.
Where can people find you and get a hold of you if they need something?
Yeah, we're in Austin, Central Austin. We go surrounding areas, basically. I don't know. Austin surrounding areas, Dallas, sometimes Houston, but our internet presence, I guess, is at Hart Stone Studio on Instagram. That's basically the main the main thing right now.
Where you hang out.
You can get a hold of us at create, or just the email is create@heartstonestudio.com. So find us there. But yeah, I'm so picky and so fine tuned with like what I like to have out there as like our brand stuff. Like
Yeah.
People always like are like, why don't you ever post anything? Why don't you do anything? And like I do post stuff. I do like make sure that people like were on projects and stickers and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just really picky, so there's not a lot out there. But we're
It's
doing
coming.
it. Yeah, we're doing it. It's coming, and like I see. It's so easy to like take a picture of a countertop and post it and be like, oh yeah, we did this, and like that's not like the look I guess I want and stuff. I want it like super.
You need it to pop out because it's something that
I want it
pops
to be
out of the house. So
I want it to be super
you need to
tailored to our
Yeah.
look, our feel. I want people to instantly recognize something that we've done, right?
Yeah.
Like, and instantly know
That's
that's us. And sure, could I post like 7,000 pictures of kitchen countertops tomorrow? Yeah, but like it doesn't fit, doesn't get us to where we want to be. So
Yeah.
So yeah, but Instagram right now, small website is being built just to kind of have a platform, a staple, where to go. My my dad, when I started, he owned his own business for my entire, growing up. That's all he did was his own graphic design business, and he's like, you gotta get out there. You gotta hand people business cards. You gotta. He's like, I can't believe you don't have a website yet. And I was like, Dad, I can't even. Like, we have so much work right now. I can't even think straight. Like, I can't make a website and make it even worse.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you need this, you need that, and he's right. He's obviously right. You need to be out there, like, giving people your cars and all that stuff and everything. But I was like, Dad, it's a different it's a different world now. Like, I can send people my contact on my phone. I can, I can send them to my Instagram and do all this. I can send them to other clients because word of mouth is basically the best medicine, the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So,
like a lot of people say now, it's like the brands who win are the brands who are best marketed.
yeah.
Like, it's not the biggest brands, but it's just who's
Yeah,
out there,
it's
who's
just
out there the most.
yeah.
Who's
Pushing it.
known, because you got to stay on the, in the mind of people, right?
Yeah.
I think countertops, boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So.
that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming.
Yeah, appreciate
coming
you
here to
having
the
me over
studio.
here. It's fun.
For sure, dude.
Good to go. Yeah.
Yep.